A metal key the size of a coffin fell from a shop sign and killed me. The next thing I knew, I was 16 again, kneeling on a marble stage while the dean of a magic academy erased my scholarship in front of 300 students before I had even summoned a familiar. I looked at the bronze badge in Dean Darren's hand. 5 minutes earlier, it had said Combat Scholarship. Now he pressed a red stamp across it. Probation. The crystal beside me still showed my mana score, 12. The official minimum for a combat scholarship was 20. That would have been fair. The problem was that the Academy handbook said first-year students were tested after familiar summoning. I had not summoned mine yet. Dean Darren apparently believed rules were more useful when they moved. He lifted my badge so the entire hall could see it. Due to limited funding, Aaron will be transferred to utility probation. Whispers spread through the hall. Then someone laughed. I turned my head. Leon Vale sat in the first row. Golden hair, white uniform, a silver family crest on his chest. His mana score had been 21, 1 point above the requirement. His father had paid for the Western Training Tower. I was beginning to understand the local economy. Leon smiled. Don't worry, Aaron. Someone has to clean the monster cages. His friends laughed. Then the students behind them joined. I did not answer. Anger was expensive. Information was free. I looked at Dean Darren. May I finish the familiar summoning? He clearly wanted me off the stage. Unfortunately for him, even probation students had rights. Proceed. I placed my hand on the summoning stone. The hall became quiet. This world treated familiars like a second half of the soul. A good familiar could turn a farmer's son into a knight. A rare familiar could turn a merchant's daughter into a noble guest. Combat beasts were respected. Elemental spirits were desired. Dragons were legends. Light filled the summoning circle. For 1 second, I wondered if the universe felt guilty about killing me with advertising. The light turned black. Something fell onto the marble floor. Clink. Nobody moved. I looked down. A small black key lay between my shoes. It was shorter than my little finger. It had a round head, a thin body, and 3 sharp teeth. The key lifted itself. It floated toward my ankle. Then it bumped against my boot. Clink. It tried again. Clink. The first laugh came from Leon. The second came from somewhere behind him. Within 3 seconds, the entire hall was shaking. Leon held his stomach. A key. He pointed at me. He summoned a key. I looked at the object floating beside my knee. A giant key had ended my first life. A tiny key had joined my second. Someone somewhere had a simple sense of humor. The identification crystal flashed. Dean Darren read the result. Familiar category, utility object. The laughter became louder. Combat rating, 0. Leon slapped the arm of his chair. Recorded function, simple unlocking. A boy near the back shouted, "Maybe he can defeat a door." That was actually useful information. The black key floated into my palm. It was warm. I closed my fingers around it. Dean Darren returned my badge. Utility probation lasts until tomorrow evening. Demonstrate a useful academy function before then, or your enrollment will be terminated. That rule was also new. I knew because a girl told me 10 minutes later. She sat on a low stone wall behind the summoning hall. Dark hair was tied behind her neck. A tiny silver mouse sat on her shoulder. She held 2 warm bread rolls. When I walked past, she raised one. Funeral gift. I'm still alive. For your reputation. I took the bread. The crust cracked when I bit into it. Butter melted through the soft center. There were roasted onions and a little salt inside. It was the first pleasant thing that had happened since a large piece of metal introduced itself to my skull. The girl pointed at my familiar. Does it have a name? Key. She stared at me. You named your key. It was already highly qualified. She laughed. Not like Leon. That difference mattered. I'm Mira. Aaron. I know. The whole academy knows. Her mouse climbed onto her head. This is Pip. Pip squeaked. Scout familiar, Mira said. Trap detection. Weak combat score, but people respect him because he is alive. I looked at Key. Key looked like Key. Unfortunate. Mira explained why my scholarship had disappeared. The Vale family had sponsored 20 new combat students. The dormitory had 19 empty scholarship rooms. Leon had brought an extra cousin. I was the lowest scoring student without a sponsor. The mathematics was simple. I had become furniture. "Can you appeal?" she asked. "How much?" "5 silver." I checked my pocket. 9 copper. "Then I can almost appeal to the kitchen." She laughed again. The utility dormitory stood behind the main campus. It looked like a castle that had lost an argument with rain. The caretaker gave me a room previously used to store broken furniture. 1 bed, 1 chair, 1 small table, 17 locked cabinets. I stood in the doorway. Key floated beside me. I looked at the cabinets, then at Key. The nearest lock clicked. The cabinet opened. A cold voice spoke inside my head. "Compatible action completed." I stopped moving. The voice continued. "Hidden progression condition detected." 3 class names entered my mind. Keymaster, Sealbreaker, Gate Lord. The second required 100 unlock power. The third required 500. Keymaster was available now. Its rule was simple. Every lock successfully opened by my familiar would permanently increase its unlock power according to the difficulty of the lock. That was all. No fireballs, no dragon blood, no sword aura. A key became stronger by opening things. I chose Keymaster. The voice said my unlock power was 1. I pointed toward the next cabinet. Open. Key flew into the lock. Click. Unlock power became 2. Third cabinet. Click. 3. The next lock had rusted solid. Key turned twice. Click. Unlock power became 5. I smiled. Difficulty mattered. That meant one difficult lock could be worth many simple ones. I opened every cabinet in the room. By the time the last door swung open, my unlock power had reached 19. My mana had dropped slightly. Also useful information. The cheap locks barely cost anything. The harder ones took more. Inside the cabinets, I found old blankets, cracked lanterns, broken tools, and 1 iron box. The box had no keyhole. A blue symbol covered its lid. I recognized it immediately. A magical seal. According to the basic textbooks, magical seals were not locks. A seal could only be released by its creator, an authorized key spell or a proper counter seal. That was one of the basic laws of magical security. I held key near the symbol. The cold voice returned. Estimated requirement, 15 unlock power. I had 19. I stared at the seal. Then at Key. One rule of this world said a seal was not a lock. My class apparently disagreed. Open. Key touched the blue symbol. My mana disappeared. Pain struck behind my eyes. The symbol trembled. Blue light spread across the box. For 1 second I thought the attempt would fail. Then the seal split down the center. Click. The lid opened. Unlock power increased by 12. 31. I sat down. Not because I was emotional, because my knees had become unreliable. Inside the box were 6 silver coins, an old academy service badge, and a folded maintenance map. I counted the coins twice. I had arrived with 9 copper. I now had 6 silver and 9 copper. My wealth had increased so quickly that my corpse from the previous world would probably have sat up to check the math. Someone inhaled behind me. I turned. Mira stood in the doorway. Pip sat on her shoulder. Both of them were staring at the broken seal. "How long have you been there?" "Long enough to watch your useless key open something that cannot be opened by a key." I looked at the box. "That seems inconvenient." "For you?" "For everyone who laughed." She stepped inside. "Do it again." "I need another seal." Mira smiled. That should have worried me. 20 minutes later, we stood in a basement corridor beneath the kitchen. Mira had apparently spent her first week at the academy learning every place students were forbidden to enter. A red seal protected the kitchen reserve room. "We are not stealing food," I said. "I never said we were." "You are holding lockpicks." "I like being ready." I examined the red seal. The system estimated 24 unlock power. I had 31. Open. Key pressed itself against the symbol. The red light flashed. My chest tightened. The seal cracked. Click. Unlock power increased by 16. 47. My mana dropped hard. I leaned against the wall. Mira caught my arm. "You're pale." "Mana cost." "How bad?" "About half of what I had left." She immediately closed the door. That surprised me. A thief standing in front of an open food store had chosen my health over free supplies. I remembered it. Footsteps came from the stairs. A kitchen worker appeared. He saw us. He saw the broken red seal. His face changed. Mira lifted both hands. "We did not take anything." The worker ignored her. He looked at Key, then at me. "You opened that?" "Yes." He walked closer. The kitchen had installed the seal because students kept stealing honey cakes. The worker inspected the symbol, then he ran back upstairs. Mira sighed. That sentence never ends well. 5 minutes later, 12 kitchen workers, 2 maintenance mages, and an assistant instructor stood around us. I demonstrated the ability on a second storage door. The seal glowed, key turned, click, unlock, power became 62. 1 maintenance mage inspected the broken seal 3 times. It didn't dispel it. The instructor frowned. What's the difference? A dispelling spell breaks a magical structure. He pointed at the intact red pattern now sitting dormant around the doorframe. This seal is still functional. The familiar opened it. That makes no sense. I know. The mage looked at Key like it had personally insulted his education. The familiar treated the seal as a lock. The corridor became silent. Mira looked at me. I looked at Key. Key continued to look like a small piece of metal. Very helpful. By breakfast the next morning, half the academy knew. By the time I reached the first-year training field, the story had improved. According to one version, I had opened the academy treasury. According to another, I had entered Dean Darren's private office and found secret letters. According to a third, Key could open a person's mouth and force them to tell the truth. I wanted that one. 300 students gathered around the first-year ranking arena. My name stood at position 312. Leon was 43. He saw me entering the field. Then he saw Key floating beside my shoulder. He laughed. You actually came. I attend the academy. Until tonight. His familiar walked beside him. A red-armored hound, thick muscles, steel teeth, combat rank 2. Unlike Key, it looked capable of winning an argument with furniture. Leon wore a training breastplate secured by 6 silver locking clasps. Interesting. He stepped into my path. Challenge. The nearby students immediately became quiet. Public challenges changed ranking points. A utility probation student could not refuse a challenge without losing additional standing, another useful rule created by people with strong familiars. What are the terms? I asked. First familiar or summoner pushed outside the ring loses. And the reward? Leon smiled. You won't need to worry about that. I looked at the instructor. Reward? The instructor cleared his throat. Standard upset reward for defeating a top 50 student is 10 silver. 20 ranking positions transfer from the loser. Additional technical points may be granted. 10 silver. I had 6. Useful. I entered the ring. Students crowded the boundary. Mira stood in the 3rd row. She lifted one thumb. Leon pointed at me. Crush him! The armored hound charged. Fast. Too fast for me. So I did not run from it. I ran toward Leon. His smile disappeared. Key flew from my shoulder. Open. The first breastplate clasp clicked, then the second, then the third. Leon grabbed his armor with both hands. The crowd exploded with laughter. The hound turned sharply. Attack him! Leon sounded less confident now. The animal lunged. I saw bronze locks securing the training guards around its front legs. I would not touch the control collar. I did not know whether opening that could hurt the animal. The armor was safer. Open! Click, 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 click. The leg guards fell away. One metal plate landed beneath the hound's paw. The animal slid sideways. It crossed the boundary on its stomach like an angry red refrigerator that had discovered ice. Silence lasted 1 heartbeat. The instructor raised his hand. Aaron wins! The field erupted. Students shouted. Someone screamed my name. Leon stood in the center of the ring, holding his breastplate against his chest. His face was red. The ranking board changed. 312, 292. Then the upset bonus appeared. 270. Maintenance service added points for the sealed storage demonstration. 241. The kitchen filed another confirmation. 210. One morning. 102 places. The instructor handed me 10 silver. My money became 16 silver and 9 copper. 7 armor locks had added 7 more unlock power. 69. Strength increased. Money increased. Status increased. All 3 moved. Leon finally found his voice. He cheated. The crowd became quieter. I looked at him. With my familiar? That thing isn't a combat familiar. No. I looked at his hound, which had already recovered and was wagging its tail at an instructor. I defeated your combat familiar with a door accessory. The laughter was worse than the defeat. Even Mira bent forward. Dean Darren had been watching from the official's platform. Now he had a problem. Yesterday, removing me had been administrative. Today, everyone knew my name. He walked onto the field. Aaron, your probation is suspended pending review. Does that restore my scholarship? He stopped. 300 students were watching. Leon was watching. The instructors were watching. Darren understood numbers. Yes. The crowd erupted again. A clerk removed the probation mark from my badge. My room became free. Meals became free. My training allowance became 3 silver every week. I had recovered everything they had taken. Publicly, that was enough. I did not ask Darren to apologize. Apologies had poor resale value. That evening, Mira and I ate in the scholarship dining hall. The cook gave me beef stew, thick brown broth, soft potatoes, carrots, meat that fell apart when I touched it with the spoon. Fresh bread came with salted butter. Mira stole half of mine. I let her. You know Leon will hate you more now. He hated me yesterday. More. Still free. She smiled. Pip slept beside her plate. Key rested near my bowl. I had 69 unlock power, 16 silver and 9 copper, rank 210. Yesterday, I had been a student scheduled for removal. Today, people moved aside when I walked past. A second-year student approached our table. He held a locked travel chest. My key broke. How much will you pay? He looked uncertain. 2 copper? I opened it. Click. Unlock. Power became 70. I pushed the coins back. First one is free. Mira watched the student leave. Why? Advertising. She nodded slowly. That was frightening. After dinner, I unfolded the maintenance map from the iron box. Most passages ran under dormitories and training halls. One route had been crossed out in black ink. A warning was written beneath it. Do not enter the 9th Foundation corridor. The passage ended directly beneath the summoning hall. Beside it, someone had drawn a door. The surface was covered with small marks. I counted 1 row, then another. Then I stopped counting and read the note beside the drawing. 999 locks. Key rose from the table. I had not commanded it. The little black familiar began to shake. The system spoke. Gate detected. A pause followed. Current probability of opening final lock, 0. Something knocked beneath my feet, once. From the other side of the buried door, the entire academy knew about the underground knock by sunrise. That was impressive because only Mira and I had heard it. Apparently, secrecy at the academy had the defensive power of soup. One rumor claimed a demon king lived beneath the school. Another claimed Dean Darren had hidden a dragon. A third claimed I had already opened the door and proposed marriage to whatever was inside. Mira almost inhaled her milk. Fast relationship. We have never met. That has not stopped the rumor. Breakfast was fried eggs over hot rice. The yolks were soft. Golden liquid ran between the grains when I cut them. There were pieces of roasted pork, green onion, and pepper on top. I ate 2 bowls. Mira ate 1 and then stole pork from mine. You need to charge her rent, I told Pip. Pip ignored me. The morning notice announced the beginner dungeon resource examination. Every first-year student would enter the academy training dungeon. Combat students earned points for monster cores. Utility students earned points for recovered resources. The prize for first place was 3 gold. 3 gold equaled 30 silver. I read that line twice, Mira noticed. Most people are excited about the dungeon. I am excited about money. Adventure? Money. Ancient treasure? Money. Monster battles? Preferably someone else's. She nodded. Consistent. Dean Darren waited beside the dungeon entrance. He had added a new rule. Students may only claim sealed resources appropriate to their registered familiar category. I raised one hand. What resources are appropriate to a key? Mechanical utility items. So sealed magical chests are mage resources? Correct. Students nearby exchanged glances. The reason was obvious. Darren could no longer remove me quietly. He could still control how quickly I became important. The Vale family and other sponsors cared about rankings. If a poor utility student climbed too quickly, people would ask why combat programs received most of the money. Darren wanted stability. I was becoming expensive instability. I understood his motive. I still planned to ruin his morning. Understood, I said. Mira covered her mouth. She knew that answer now. The dungeon opened at 9. 32 teams entered. I registered alone. That caused another wave of whispers. 7 teams had offered me a place. I refused every one. Shared loot was dangerous. Key floated beside me. Unlock power was 70. I carried 2 monotonics, 1 short training sword and 1 empty backpack. The first floor contained weak stone insects. I avoided them. I was not there for combat. The first chest appeared behind a broken pillar. Old wood. Iron lock. Click. Unlock. Power became 72. 3 healing herbs sat inside, 6 copper each. Second chest, click, 75. A mana crystal, worth 2 silver. Third chest, blue seal, estimated requirement 40. I opened it. Pain pressed behind my eyes. Click. Unlock power increased by 18. 93. Inside was a silver ore bar. 5 silver. I drank half a mana tonic. The tonic cost 8 copper. Profit remained healthy. I continued. After 1 hour, I had opened 11 physical locks and 2 low magical seals. Unlock power reached 124. My backpack carried resources worth 1 gold and 7 silver. I had killed nothing. A combat team passed me. They carried 3 monster cores. Then their leader saw my bag. "Where did you get all that?" "Chests. We found 2 sealed ones." "Where?" The leader hesitated. "If you open them, who gets the contents?" "You do." He frowned. "What do you get?" "The locks." That sentence caused more confusion than it should have. 10 minutes later, the team stood around me while I opened both sealed chests. One contained alchemy glass worth 2 gold. The second held an enchanted belt. I could not claim either because of Darren's new rule. I handed the items over. The team leader stared at me. "You really don't want to share?" "No." Key had gained 36 unlock power. 160. I had just been paid in strength. By noon, students had discovered the pattern. A line formed. Combat teams killed monsters. Then they brought me sealed chests. I opened them. They kept class-restricted items. I gained unlock power. Some teams started paying me 1 silver per seal. Nobody had told them to. They simply wanted priority. By lunch, I had earned 9 silver. My own legal resources were worth 2 gold and 4 silver. A utility examiner named Bram found us. He ran down the corridor. "Stop!" 20 students turned. Bram pointed at me. "You cannot operate a commercial service during an examination." I took the rule sheet from my pocket. "Which rule?" His face tightened. "That is not the purpose of the examination. Resource recovery is the purpose. You are not recovering resources." I pointed at the students carrying enchanted items from chests I had opened. "They look recovered." Someone laughed. Bram stepped closer. He lowered his voice. "Dean Darren wants this stopped." That was better. Honesty saved time. I looked at the 20 witnesses. "If you disqualify me, please state that reason for the official record." Bram looked at the students. He had expected a quiet corridor. Instead, he had an audience. If he disqualified me for being too useful, the story would reach the entire school before lunch ended. His shoulders dropped. "Continue." The corridor burst into laughter. Bram walked away quickly. My name gained another piece of reputation before the ranking board even updated. Mira found me on the 2nd floor. Her team had taken a trap route and lost time. 1 sleeve was cut. I saw blood underneath. "What happened?" "Tomato sauce." "In a dungeon." "Fine." "Blood." I handed her 1 healing potion from my bag. She looked at it. "That's worth 1 silver. You gave me bread. 2 copper bread. Good investment." She drank it. Pip suddenly squeaked. Mira raised 1 hand. "Trap." A black stone tile covered the corridor ahead. Beyond it stood a huge door. Bronze machinery ran along both walls. Mira crouched. "I can disable it." "How long?" 20 minutes. I looked at the bronze control box. It had a lock. 3 seconds. Mira stared at me. "No." Key entered the control lock. Click. The trap shut down. Unlock power increased by 7. 193. Mira slowly put away her tools. "I spent 6 months learning trap mechanisms. Useful skill. You insulted my childhood." 8 students had followed us. They laughed. The stone door carried 3 magical seals. Blue, red, gold. The system estimated requirements. 80, 110, 180. I had 193. The first 2 were safe. The third was close. Failure would return force through key into me. I already knew that. A failed test against a warded cabinet that morning had left my hand numb for 10 minutes. Mira looked at me. You don't have to. The gold seal pulsed. I calculated. Power margin, mana reserve, possible reward, witnesses. Blue. Key turned. Click. Unlock. Power increased by 20. 213. Red. Click. 238. The gold seal was easier now. Open! The door shook. Mana drained from my body. My vision darkened. Key trembled. The gold seal resisted. Then it cracked. Click. Unlock power increased by 48. 286. Every student behind us became silent. Inside the chamber stood one chest. Black metal. No keyhole. The academy crest covered the lid. Bram arrived behind the students. His face changed. No. Interesting. He pushed forward. This room is restricted. Mira pointed at the examination mark carved above the door. Then why is it inside the examination zone? Bram ignored her. I studied the chest. Estimated requirement, 250. My unlock power was 286. Possible. Bram raised his voice. Aaron, do not touch that container. Everyone watched him. I turned. Is it dangerous? No. Illegal to open? No. Then why? He did not answer. I put key against the academy crest. Bram moved. Mira stepped between us. She did not draw a weapon. She did not need to. 20 students stood behind her. Bram stopped. Key turned. The seal resisted harder than anything before. My mana dropped. Blood reached my lip. Mira saw it. Her expression tightened. The crest cracked. Click. Unlock power increased by 64. 350. The lid opened. No treasure. Documents. Payment books. Sponsor records. Scholarship ledgers. Bram closed his eyes. Mira picked up the first sheet, then the second. Her face changed. What's this? I read over her shoulder. The academy had received funding for 42 utility scholarships. Only 17 utility students currently had scholarships. 25 payments were missing. Bram whispered, "It isn't what you think." I believed him. Reality was usually more annoying than theft. We carried the chest outside. By the end of the examination, every first-year student stood around the ranking board. Dean Darren was already waiting. His face looked 10 years older. Bram had told him. Resource scores appeared. Leon placed 7th, 8 gold and 2 silver in recovered value. Mira's team placed 4th, 11 gold. My name appeared at the top, 27 gold and 6 silver. The field exploded. Dean Darren raised one hand. "The restricted chest will not count." I nodded. Without it, I still had 21 gold, still first. The board did not move. Someone laughed. Darren's jaw tightened. My personal ranking changed. 210, 164, 123, 98, 86, another 124 positions. The reward clerk handed me 3 gold. Service fees added 11 silver. My legal loot sold for 2 gold and 4 silver. Yesterday evening, I had 16 silver and 9 copper. Now I had 6 gold, 1 silver, and 9 copper. Key's unlocked power had risen from 70 to 350. Strength multiplied by 5. Money more than tripled. Rank jumped again. All 3 moved. Then the crowd turned toward Darren. Because of the documents. He could not hide them now. Too many students had read them. Darren looked at the utility students. The missing scholarship funds were redirected. The field became quiet. 3 years ago, the Western Dungeon barrier failed. Repairs cost more than our emergency reserve. If the barrier collapsed, monsters would have entered the lower district. A student shouted. "So you stole our scholarships?" Darren did not deny it. I kept the academy open. That was his motive. Not greed. Fear. He had cut the students with the weakest political protection because he believed the alternative was worse. I could understand the calculation. I still would not accept being one of the numbers he had erased. A second utility student raised her badge. My brother left because he couldn't pay for a room. Darren's face changed. Another shouted, "My family borrowed money." The crowd became louder. Leon stood near the ranking board. Yesterday, he had laughed when my scholarship disappeared. Today, people were staring at the Veil crest on his uniform. His family had funded combat towers while utility money secretly paid for emergency repairs. He stopped smiling. The academy board suspended Bram immediately. Darren remained dean for the moment, but control of student funding moved to an independent clerk. Then an assistant brought a written decision. All 25 missing scholarships would be restored, the utility students shouted. Darren lowered his head. It was not a physical defeat. It was worse for him. His private decision had become public history. Mira leaned toward me. You broke a dungeon record and an accounting department before dinner. Key is versatile. We ate at a dumpling shop outside the academy. I paid. That was new. The owner brought a wooden tray filled with steaming dumplings, pork, ginger, cabbage, thin dough. Hot soup burst inside the first one and burned my tongue. Mira laughed for 30 seconds. Then she bit into hers too quickly. She burned her tongue. I laughed for 31. We ordered another plate, then sweet buns with warm bean paste. For 1 hour, I did not think about seals. Mira asked why I had come to the academy. Stable profession. She stared at me. You chose familiar combat. The word stable was optimistic. What about family? None here. That answer was true. My first life was gone. This body's parents had died years earlier. I had no noble name, no sponsor, no safety net. Mira looked at Key. Do you trust the voice that gives you power? I stopped eating. I had told her about the growth rule that morning, not the class names. No. Good. Why? Anything that appears inside your head and tells you to open ancient sealed things deserves suspicion. The power isn't free. I touched the dried blood beneath my nose. She nodded. Better. Dangerous mystery with fees. When we returned to the academy, a black carriage stood at the main gate. Silver seals covered the doors. Students surrounded it. A man in a white coat stepped down. The emblem on his chest belonged to the 9 Seal office. Not the academy, not the city, the capital. Dean Darren walked out to meet him. The man handed him a document. Then he looked through the crowd. His eyes found me immediately. He knew my face. The system spoke. Warning. Key became cold. Authorized SEAL investigator detected. The man smiled. Aaron. 300 students turned toward me. My name is Saul. He touched the silver badge on his chest. By order of Inspector Varys, you will report for examination tomorrow morning. He paused. And bring the key. I slept 4 hours. That was enough. Fear needed energy. I preferred to save mine. At 7 in the morning, Mira knocked on my door carrying 2 paper bags. Emergency breakfast. Inside were hot flatbreads filled with egg, cheese, and sliced sausage. Steam hit my face. The cheese stretched when I pulled mine apart. She also brought strong coffee. You may be arrested today, she said. I appreciate the support. I bought 2 breakfasts. Excellent legal defense. We ate on the floor because my room only had 1 chair. Key floated above Mira's second flatbread. She pushed it away. You do not eat. Key bumped her finger. Rude. At 8, I entered the Grand Seal Hall. Every first-year student had been ordered to attend. That was unusual for a private investigation. Sol wanted an audience. Good. Audiences prevented small lies from becoming official truth. Sol stood beside a tall man with brown hair and ink stains on his fingers. Master Ren, senior SEAL instructor. He had designed half the academy barriers. Ren looked at Key with professional interest. Sol looked at it like evidence. Dean Darren stood near them. His authority had been reduced after the scholarship scandal. Leon sat in the first row. He had recovered from his public defeat. His smile had not. Sol raised one hand. Magic seals are controlled structures. His voice carried through the hall. They are not locks. He looked at me. That distinction protects lives. Fire seals contain elementals. Prison seals restrain criminals. Medical seals can contain curses. Fair. Unauthorized interference is prohibited. Also fair. Yesterday, Aaron opened academy seals without approved countersignatures. They were inside an examination dungeon, I said. Some students laughed. Sewell ignored them. Today we will determine whether his familiar possesses an illegal dispelling function. Ren lifted one hand. It doesn't. Sewell looked irritated. We will determine that. Ren shrugged. I already did. The students laughed again. Sewell had expected support. Instead, he had brought a man who cared more about correct terminology than politics. I liked Ren. Sewell placed a small stone box on the table. 3 green seals covered it. I created these personally. He looked at me. Open them. Authorized? The hall reacted immediately. Even Darren looked away for a second. Sewell's jaw tightened. Yes. I walked forward. Key's unlock power was 350. The system estimated each seal near 200. Yesterday, dangerous. Today, comfortable. I stopped before touching the box. What happens if I succeed? Sewell smiled. You keep your familiar and receive certification as an anomalous utility user. And if I fail, your familiar is confiscated for examination. The hall became silent. Mira sat in the third row. She no longer looked amused. I looked at Ren. He spoke before I asked. Uneven terms. Sewell frowned. Master Ren, if success only allows him to keep his own property, you are offering nothing. Ren pointed at the seals. The 9-seal office charges 10 gold for a third-rank commercial seal test. Pay him the professional rate if he passes. 10 gold. I currently had 6. Saul looked at the crowd. Refusing would look weak. Fine, I nodded. Then begin. Key touched the first green seal. Click. Unlock power increased by 22. 372. Second. Click. 395. Third. The seal resisted for 2 seconds, then opened. Click. Unlock power increased by 27. 422. The stone box opened. The seals remained intact. Ren walked closer. He touched the first symbol. It activated normally, not dispelled. He looked at Sewell. Opened. Whispers moved through the hall. Sewell did not seem surprised enough. That concerned me. He had expected this. The test was not the real test. He brought out a second object, a white metal cylinder. 1 black seal covered the lid. Ren's expression changed. Where did you get that? Office evidence storage. What rank? 4. Ren looked at me. Don't touch it. That was the first warning he had given. I studied the seal. Estimated requirement, 410. My power was 422. 12 points of margin. Too close. Saul smiled. Problem? Yes. Students leaned forward. Leon smiled again. I continued. The margin is too small. Sewell's eyes sharpened. You can estimate seal resistance? Interesting. He had not known that. I kept my face still. Sometimes. That answer would have to do. Sewell tapped the cylinder. If your ability truly opens seals instead of destroying them, this should be possible. Ren stepped forward. Rank 4 seals can rebound. A failed release can damage his mana channels. Sewell looked at him. He may refuse. Then he looked at the students. He did not say the next part. He did not need to. If I refused publicly, the story would become simple. Aaron could open weak seals. Aaron failed against real ones. My reputation would stop growing. Sewell was not trying to prove key illegal. He was measuring me. I understood. I also understood the cost. I had gained 185 unlock power yesterday by finding many seals. I did not need to gamble now. So I stepped back. No. Leon laughed from the first row. The sound carried. I looked toward him. He spread his hands. What? The famous master key finally found a real lock? More students laughed. Not many, but enough. Sewell's smile deepened. The trap had worked. Then I looked at the stone box I had already opened. 3 green seals. Each gave around 25 power. The hall itself contained more than 40 sealed cabinets, emergency barriers, equipment lockers, training locks. I turned to Ren. Are the practice seals around this hall authorized for student use? Ren looked at me. Then he smiled. Yes. Sewell's smile disappeared. For the next 40 minutes, I opened everything. Practice chest, click, 431. Barrier cabinet, click, 444. Seal plate, click, 460. Emergency box, click, 473. The audience stopped laughing. Students started counting aloud. Ren unlocked access to the advanced training wall. 9 more seals. By the 7th one, my unlock power passed 500. The system spoke inside my head. Threshold reached. Gate Lord class available. I did not choose it yet, not in front of everyone. I continued. 512, 528, 541, 560. My mana was low, but I had prepared 3 tonics. Each cost 1 silver. I had brought 6. Investment. When I finally returned to the white cylinder, my unlock power was 573. The requirement remained 410. Now the margin was safe. I looked at Sol. Again. The hall went silent. Key touched the black seal. The symbol resisted. Mana drained. I drank another tonic. The black light bent inward. Then the seal opened. Click. Unlock power increased by 72, 645. The cylinder opened. Nothing exploded. Ren inspected the seal, then inspected it again. Functional. He activated it. The black symbol closed the cylinder. Students shouted. Someone slapped a desk. Saul's face became rigid. I opened it again. Click. 690. The hall became louder. Saul raised one hand. Enough. I looked at him. 10 gold. The students laughed. A clerk from the 9 seal office had to walk forward and hand me the payment in front of everyone. My money increased from 6 gold, 1 silver, and 9 copper to 16 gold, 1 silver, and 9 copper. Then Ren did something more valuable. He faced the hall. Effective immediately, Aaron is certified for supervised 3rd rank seal release and provisional 4th rank testing. My student ranking board flashed 86, 72, 58, 49, 41. I had entered the top 50. Students shouted louder. Leon stared at the board. He had been 43. I had just passed him. Without fighting him, I looked toward the first row. He looked back at me. Then the board adjusted after the professional certification bonus. 39. The laughter started before I said anything. Leon stood up and left. That was enough. Strength had nearly doubled. Money had increased by 10 gold. Status had entered the top 40. All 3 moved again. Sewell was not finished. He leaned toward me. Inspector Varys will want to see this. Good. That answer bothered him. I understood why. People like Sewell expected fear from names. I did not know Varys yet. Fear without information was wasteful. After the examination, Ren asked me to remain. Mira waited outside. Darren left without speaking. Sewell returned to his carriage. Ren locked the hall doors. Then he put one old wooden case on the table. This isn't an academy test. Then what is it? A question. He opened the case. Inside lay a broken silver ring. 3 tiny seals covered the metal. Belonged to my teacher. I studied it. The system did not give a normal requirement. Instead, it said something new. Sealed function detected. I stopped. Not a locked object. Not a barrier. A function. Ren noticed my face. What? I held key closer. The system continued. Opening may restore sealed ability. That was the next consequence. A lock did not have to be a door. A seal could close a function, a spell, a skill, maybe more. I looked at Ren. What did this ring do before it broke? His expression changed. It stored one defensive spell. Which one? Mirror wall. Why not repair it? The storage pattern was destroyed 20 years ago. I looked at the ring again. Maybe it wasn't destroyed. Ren became very still. What do you mean? Maybe it was locked. He did not laugh. That was why I liked him. I placed key against the smallest seal. Requirement, 600. My power was 690. Possible. Open. Mana vanished. Pain shot through my wrist. The silver ring shook. One seal opened. Unlock power increased by 80. 770. Light spread along the metal. Ren stepped back. A transparent wall appeared between us. My reflection looked back at me. The spell lasted 3 seconds, then disappeared. Ren did not move. I did not speak. His hands were shaking. 20 years, he said. He picked up the ring. 20 years. I understood. For him, this was not money. It was proof that something believed dead had been closed instead. He looked at Key, then at me. Do not show Varys this. Why? Ren met my eyes. Because opening doors is useful. He held up the ring. Opening sealed abilities changes the balance of power. Someone knocked on the outer doors. 3 hard strikes. Ren immediately closed the case. Mira's voice came from outside. Aaron! Her tone was wrong. I opened the hall. She stood there with Pip in her arms. Pip's silver fur was dark with blood. Mira's face had gone white. What happened? Someone tried to take him. I looked down. A black seal had appeared around Pip's neck. Key began to shake. The system spoke. Living seal detected. And for the first time, the estimated requirement was higher than my current power. Pip was still breathing. That was enough. We carried him into Ren's workroom. Mira did not cry. She held the silver mouse in both hands and watched every breath. The black seal around his neck pulsed once every few seconds. Ren examined it. Suppression seal. Purpose? Blocks familiar abilities. Mira looked at him. Why is he bleeding? Ren's jaw tightened. Because whoever applied it forced the seal through the familiar bond. I studied the mark. Estimated requirement, 850. My unlock power was 770. Too low. Failure on a living target could hurt Pip. I would not gamble. Who attacked you? I asked. Mira looked at the floor. 3 second years near the east stairs. Names? Don't know 2. I know 1. She looked up. Leon. That simplified things. Ren swore quietly. Mira continued. They said I was helping you cheat Academy rules. Leon told me to hand over Pip so they could check whether your key had changed him. My hand stayed still. That took effort. Did he touch Pip? No, one of the others used the seal. Leon ordered it? Yes. Good, clear, direct, useful. Ren looked at me. If you go after him now, Varys will use it. Then I won't go after him now. Mira studied my face. You are too calm. I'm counting. What? Everything. I needed 80 more unlock power. The Academy seal archive contained hundreds of approved practice seals. Ren had authority over them. I looked at him. Can I open training seals? He understood immediately. Yes. For 1 hour I worked. Click 782, click 795, click 812, monotonic, click 830, click 848, 1 more. The final seal was harder. Click 871. I returned to Pip. Mira sat beside the table. She had not moved. Enough? Yes. I placed key against the black mark. Ren stood opposite me. If the seal destabilizes, I will contain the rebound. I nodded. Mira touched Pip's head. Do it. Key turned. The black seal tightened. Pip squeaked. Mira's fingers whitened. I almost stopped. Then the system spoke. Successful release possible. I pushed mana through the bond. Pain crossed my chest. The black mark cracked. Click. The seal opened. Unlock power increased by 110. 981. Pip inhaled sharply. Silver light flashed across his fur. The wounds closed. Mira lowered her head until her forehead touched him. For several seconds, nobody spoke. Then Pip bit her finger. She laughed. That was the best sound I had heard all day. Ren inspected the remaining black fragments. This signature belongs to the Vale family's private seal school. So Leon had not found a random second-year mage. He had brought someone trained by his family. That made the situation larger. Also easier to prove. I looked at Mira. Can you walk? Yes. Good. We're going to Leon? No. She frowned. We're going to breakfast. She stared at me. It is almost noon. Then lunch. Ren looked confused. Mira understood first. You really are counting. Yes. Anger wanted immediate action. Public humiliation required preparation. We ate at a noodle stall outside the east gate. Thick wheat noodles, beef broth, slices of slow-cooked meat, green herbs, soft egg, chili oil. Mira added too much. Her face turned red after the first bite. I pushed my water toward her. She took it. I hate this day. I know. Pip almost died. I know. And you're eating noodles. Yes. She looked angry, then tired. Then she lowered her voice. Why aren't you angry? I am. Doesn't look like it. If I hit Leon in a corridor, I become a violent utility student. I took another bite. If I prove he attacked your familiar during an official hearing, he becomes a noble student who ordered an illegal living seal. Mira stopped. That sounds worse. For him. She looked at Pip. Then she smiled slightly. Fine. She ate another noodle. Still too spicy. At 1 in the afternoon, the Academy announced a disciplinary assembly. Ren had moved quickly. So had the rumors. By 2, nearly every first-year student filled the grand hall. Second years stood along the walls. Leon sat at a table beside 2 family representatives. His face was calm again. Dean Darren presided over the hearing. Sol sat beside him. Varys had not arrived yet. Mira sat with me. Pip stood on her shoulder. The sight alone caused whispers. Most students had heard he was injured. Now he looked healthy. Leon noticed. His eyes narrowed. Darren opened the hearing. Leon Vale is accused of participating in unauthorized suppression of another student's familiar. Leon stood. I deny ordering any attack. His representative spoke next. Miss Mira is closely associated with Aaron, who is currently under investigation by the 9 SEAL office. Concern about contamination was reasonable. The crowd reacted badly. Mira's expression went cold. I stayed quiet. The representative continued. No permanent harm occurred. That was his mistake. Ren placed the broken seal fragments on the evidence table because Aaron removed the seal. The room became quiet. Saul turned toward me. You opened a living suppression seal? There it was, the information Ren had warned me about. Too late now. I answered simply. Yes. Saul looked almost excited. Not emotionally. Professionally. That was worse. Darren rubbed his forehead. Continue. Leon finally looked at me. You can't prove I ordered anything. Mira stood. You told them to take Pip. Your word. A second-year witness entered. One of the boys from the staircase. His face was pale. Leon stared at him. The boy did not look back. He spoke quickly. Leon said we needed proof that Aaron had altered Mira's familiar. He told Jace to use the veil suppression seal. The hall erupted. Leon stood. You're lying! The boy pulled a small communication crystal from his pocket. I recorded it. That was unexpected. Even I had not known. Mira leaned toward me. You planned that? No. Good. I was becoming worried. The crystal played Leon's voice, clear, confident. Use the seal. If she resists, take the mouse anyway. The crowd exploded. Leon went white. His representative closed his eyes. Dean Darren looked at him. Leon Vale, did you give that order? Leon said nothing. Silence was enough. Darren's expression became hard. This was different from the scholarship scandal. There was no emergency motive, no institutional pressure, just a student using family power because he believed nobody could stop him. 30-day suspension, Darren said. The crowd reacted. Loss of 50 ranking positions. Leon finally spoke. No. Suspension from formal challenges for 1 term. No. Vale family access to student disciplinary systems is suspended pending review. That one hurt. Leon turned toward his representative. The man did not help him. The ranking board changed. Leon fell from 43 to 93. My name remained 39. Mira's ranking increased because her familiar had survived a hostile seal and provided evidence in a formal investigation. She moved from 170 to 121. The crowd cheered for her. I looked at her. She looked shocked. Then Pip squeaked. She laughed. That was the status increase that mattered most to me that day. After the hearing, Sewell approached. You opened a living seal. Yes. Do you know how rare that is? No. Almost impossible. Then it wasn't impossible. He stared at Key. You are becoming a problem. That seems to happen often. Sewell handed me a small paper. Professional Emergency Seal Release Payment. 5 gold. Ren submitted the treatment as an authorized rescue. I looked across the hall. Ren pretended not to notice. My money increased from around 16 gold to 21 gold after tonic expenses. My unlock power had risen from 770 to 981. My rank stayed 39, but my certified status expanded. Living seal release. That phrase spread through the hall faster than smoke. Strength moved. Money moved. Status moved. All 3 again. Then the main doors opened. Every seal in the room flashed at once. A man entered alone. Tall, gray coat, black gloves, no visible weapon. Saul immediately straightened. Dean Darren stood. Ren's face became unreadable. The man looked at me, then at Key, then at Pip. Inspector Varys, Saul said. The room became silent. Varys walked to the evidence table. He touched the broken living seal. You opened this? Yes. He looked at me for a long time. Then he smiled. Not warmly. Good. He took a black envelope from his coat. Silver wax sealed it. The emblem showed 9 interlocked doors. The 9 Seal Council has issued an order. Ren stepped forward. Already? Varys ignored him. He handed the envelope to Darren. Darren opened it. His face changed. What does it say? Mira whispered. Darren read aloud. Effective immediately, familiar known as Key is classified as a strategic seal anomaly. The hall reacted. Varys kept watching me. Darren continued. Custody review will occur tomorrow. Mira stood. Custody? Varys answered. It means the council will decide whether the familiar belongs with a student. He paused. Or with the state. Varys arrived at my room before sunrise. He knocked exactly once. I opened the door. Mira was already inside. She had slept on the chair. Pip slept in her hood. Ren stood in the corridor. Apparently none of us trusted the capital. Varys looked past me. Planning a rebellion? Breakfast. Mira held up a bag. Varys stared at it. Very dangerous. He entered. That was the first joke I heard from him. It did not make me trust him. We ate meat buns while Varys explained the custody review. The buns were soft and hot. Inside were minced beef, onion, and pepper. Mira passed one to Ren. Varys refused. Then he accepted one 3 minutes later. No one mentioned it. The council does not normally confiscate familiars, he said. Normally? Normally, familiars cannot unlock state seals. Fair. He looked at Key. What is your current limit? I don't know. That was true enough. What is the strongest seal you've opened? Living suppression. Ren interrupted. Under emergency authority. Varys nodded. I read the report. He had read everything. The scholarship scandal, the dungeon, the professional test. Pip. Probably my meal receipts. I want a demonstration, he said. No confiscation? If you pass. And if I fail? Varys looked at me. Then I recommend custody transfer. Mira's hand tightened around her cup. I kept eating. What test? He stood. The Academy's central barrier. Ren stopped chewing. No. Varys looked at him. Why? You know why? I did not. Useful. The central barrier is connected to the Foundation system, Ren said. Opening it could interact with the old underground seals. Varys turned toward me. Exactly. That was not comforting. At 8, we stood in the central courtyard. Every student had been told to remain indoors. Naturally, every window was full of faces. Dean Darren joined us. So did Saul. Leon was suspended. His absence made the courtyard feel quieter. The central barrier appeared as a blue wall around the Academy core. Requirement: 900. My unlock power was 981. Possible. Varys looked at me. Open only the outer layer. Authorized? His mouth moved slightly. Yes. I placed Key against the barrier. The system spoke. Gate Lord class available. I had delayed choosing it. Now I understood why. Keymaster treated locks as progression. Sealbreaker treated magical seals as valid locks. I had automatically crossed into that function after 100 power. Gate Lord did not add a new cheat. It expanded what counted as a door, barriers, boundaries, spatial gates. Still one rule. If something could be considered closed, Key could try to open it. I chose Gate Lord. Cold power moved through my familiar. Key became longer, not much. From the length of my little finger to the length of my palm. Black lines appeared along its surface. Varys saw the change. So, there is an evolution. I ignored him. Open. Key touched the barrier. The blue wall shook. Mana poured out of me. I drank a tonic before the pain peaked. The barrier split, not destroyed. Opened. A doorway appeared in the middle of the glowing wall. Students screamed from the windows, not from fear, from shock. Varys walked through the opening, then back. Ren checked the barrier structure. Stable. Darren looked at me like he had just realized his academy walls were now polite suggestions. Unlock power increased by 140. 1,121. Varys nodded. You passed the first part. First? Mira muttered something rude. Varys continued. Now close it. I stared at him. Key was made to open. The system had never mentioned closing. I touched the edge of the doorway. Nothing. Varys watched. Important difference. I understood his motive now. He was not trying to trap me. He wanted to know whether I was a controlled tool or an unlimited breach. I tried again. The system spoke. Closing is not opening. Obvious. Then another message followed. However, an open state may contain a lock. I looked at the barrier. Interesting. The doorway itself had become a condition. Open. That meant its open state could be locked. Lock. Key turned backward. The barrier snapped shut. The courtyard became silent. Unlock power increased by 10. 1,131. Varys's expression changed for the first time. Ren looked at me. What did you do? Locked the opening? Mira laughed. Your key learned doors from both directions. That was another consequence. Still the same rule. Open. Lock. Control the state. Varys was quiet for several seconds. Then the ground shook. Everyone froze. The blue barrier flickered. A deep sound came from below. Knock. The same sound from the first night, only louder. Key turned toward the summoning hall. The system spoke. Gate response detected. Varys looked at Darren. What was that? Darren did not answer. Ren did. The foundation door. Varys turned slowly. What foundation door? That surprised me. The Capitol inspector did not know. Darren closed his eyes. The scholarship scandal had been bad. This looked worse. We entered the old maintenance tunnel beneath the summoning hall. Varys demanded it. Darren resisted for 3 minutes. Then 300 students saw the ground shake through the windows. Secrecy had already lost. The 9th Foundation corridor ended at a wall of black stone. Ren pressed his hand against one old marker. A hidden passage opened. At the end stood the door from the map. It was enormous, 30 feet high, black metal, no handle, no visible hinges. 999 locks covered the surface, physical locks, rune locks, crystal locks, blood seals, spatial rings, types I did not recognize. Varys stopped walking. Sol whispered, "Impossible." Darren looked tired. "My predecessor showed me this door when I became dean." "Who built it?" Varys asked. "No record. Who maintains it?" "No one." "Why was the Capitol not informed?" Darren looked at him. "Because every dean before me received the same instruction." "From whom?" Darren pointed toward the highest lock. A silver emblem had been carved above it. 9 interlocked doors, the emblem of the 9 Seal Council. Varys went still. That was useful. Even he had not known. I moved closer. The system spoke continuously now. Gate confirmed. Lock count, 999. Opening sequence required. Current accessible locks, 12. 12. Not 0 anymore. I had grown enough. Mira stood beside me. "You are not opening that today." "Agreed." She looked surprised. "I expected an argument. There are 999 locks. And? I brought 2 monotonics." She nodded. "Good." Varys turned. "We leave." Then the lowest lock clicked by itself. Everyone froze. Key had not moved. The first lock opened. Unlock power did not increase. I stepped back. A thin line of white light appeared around the door. Then a voice came through. Female. Young. Weak. "Keyholder." Mira grabbed my sleeve. Ren went pale. Varys raised one hand. The voice spoke again. "Do not open the final lock." Silence. Then another lock clicked. Not opened. Broken. Black liquid began leaking from the metal. The system spoke. "Warning. External breach detected." Something on the other side was not trying to get out through the locks. It was trying to destroy them. The academy closed for the rest of the day. Nobody went home. That made the rumors worse. Students filled the dormitories. Instructors guarded stairwells. The central courtyard remained empty. By lunch, half the city knew something had happened underground. The public notice said foundation maintenance. Nobody believed it. I sat in Ren's workshop with Mira, Varys, Darren, and Sol. A map of the underground door covered the table. Key floated above it. The first lock had opened itself. The second had cracked from the opposite side. That difference mattered. Darren looked worse every hour. Varys had sent 3 messages to the Capitol. No reply had returned. That bothered him more than the door. "The Council responds to emergency seal reports within 10 minutes, he said. "How long?" I asked. 2 hours. Mira leaned back. "So either they are busy," Varys looked at her. Or they already know." Nobody answered. Ren studied the old map. "The door is not one seal. No. It is a sequence." I pointed at the marks. "The system says 12 locks are accessible." Varys looked at me. "You keep saying system." I had avoided that word around him. Too late. "What exactly is it?" A voice connected to key. Who made it? No idea. Can it lie? No idea. Can it control you? No. How do you know? I looked at him. I ignored it for a full day. Mira raised one hand. Confirmed. Varys sighed. Darren tapped the map. We need to reinforce the broken lock. Ren shook his head. We don't understand the mechanism. Then we learn. Everyone looked at me. That was becoming a pattern. I studied the door diagram. 12 accessible locks. Opening them would increase key, probably massively, also potentially release whatever was behind them. The girl behind the door had told us not to open the final lock, not the first 12. That distinction mattered. One lock, I said. Mira immediately shook her head. Varys said nothing. Ren looked interested. Darren looked sick. I continued. We open one accessible lock under controlled conditions. And if something comes through? Mira asked. We close it. You learned that skill today. Good timing. Varys considered it. Public witnesses. Darren stared at him. What? If we do this secretly and fail, the council can rewrite the event. That surprised me. Varys looked toward the ceiling. I work for the 9 Seal office. He touched his badge. I do not work for secrets I was never told. Good. The latter had changed. Varys was still dangerous, but danger was not the same as enemy. At 3 in the afternoon, the Academy opened the observation hall above the Foundation chamber, not the door itself. A magical projection showed the lower corridor. 200 instructors and senior students watched. First years filled the upper rows. Mira stood beside me inside the actual corridor. Ren stood on my other side. Varys and Darren remained behind the safety barrier. Sol managed the recording crystals. Witnesses, many of them. I approached the lowest accessible lock. Bronze. Old, simple in shape. The system estimated requirement, 1,000. My power was 1,131. Possible. I had 6 mana tonics now. Varys had paid for them. Finally, government spending I respected. Open. Key entered the bronze lock. The entire door vibrated. Mana drained. I drank 1 tonic. The bronze lock turned. Once. Twice. Then opened. Click. Unlock power increased by 200, 1,331. The observation hall erupted through the projection crystal. 200 power from 1 lock. I almost smiled. Then the door released a pulse. A hidden panel opened beside us. Inside sat a small wooden chest. No seal. No magic. Just a normal lock. I opened it. Click. 1,332. Inside were 12 old gold coins. Varys examined one. Pre-Empire currency. Ren's eyes widened. Value? Collector value. At least 5 gold each. 12 coins. At least 60 gold. Darren looked at me. Property of the Academy. Mira coughed. I looked at Darren. He realized what he had said. The observation hall could hear us. 200 witnesses. His face tightened. Varys spoke. Discovery reward law grants half to the finder if ownership predates the institution. Darren closed his eyes. Half. 30 gold. My money rose from around 21 gold to more than 50. The students watching the projection shouted. Strength increased by 200. Money increased by 30 gold. Status increased the moment the entire academy saw the ancient door respond to me. All 3 moved in less than 5 minutes. Then the open bronze lock released another sound. Click. A thin line of light appeared. The girl's voice came through more clearly. Keyholder. I stepped closer. Who are you? Silence. Then, Ina. Simple name. Easy. What is this door? A prison. Mira looked at me. For what? Ina did not answer immediately. Then she said, Not for me. Every person in the observation hall went silent. I felt Key become cold. What is behind you? Ina whispered. The king without doors. The black liquid around the damaged second lock moved. Ren shouted, Back! We stepped away. The liquid spread across the door. One sealed ring turned black. Then another. The system spoke. Corruption detected. 3 locks compromised. The second lock cracked wider. A black hand pushed through the gap. Not human. Too long. Too thin. 6 fingers. Mira drew her knife. Ren activated 3 barrier seals. Varys shouted through the crystal. Close the first lock. I raised key. Lock. The bronze lock resisted. Something on the other side was holding the sequence open. My mana dropped. The black hand pushed farther. It grabbed one of Ren's barriers. The magical wall began to rot. I drank another tonic. Lock. Key shook. The system spoke. Opposing force exceeds current gate authority. Not enough power. I looked at the other accessible locks. 11 remained. Opening them would make me stronger, also make the door weaker. Bad trade. Then I saw the broken second lock. It was already open from damage. An open state could be locked. I did not need to open more. I pointed at the crack. Lock the breach. Key turned in the air. The broken metal screamed. The black hand stopped. Then the gap snapped shut around its wrist. The creature pulled. The door pulled back. The hand tore off. Black fingers fell onto the floor. Mira jumped away. The severed limb became smoke. The observation hall erupted. Ren stared at the sealed crack. You locked a broken lock. It was open. That sentence is going to ruin several textbooks. The system spoke. Emergency gate lock successful. Unlock power increased by 300. 1,632. I stared at key. 300. The familiar had become longer again. Black metal now reached from my wrist to my elbow. Thin silver lines ran through it. The entire academy saw the change. Status moved again. Then the projection crystals flickered. A new image appeared. Not from Seoul, not from the academy. 9 faces, all hidden behind white masks. Varys went pale. The council, every student watched. Every instructor watched. The central masked figure spoke. Aaron. My name echoed through the hall. You have opened what was ordered closed. I looked at the ancient door. 1 lock. You have interfered with a state seal. Your state seal was being broken from the inside. The masked figure paused. Good. Witnesses worked on powerful people too. Another mask spoke. Inspector Varys, place the key holder in custody. The observation hall became silent. Varys looked at the projection, then at me. He removed his 9 seal badge. He placed it on the floor. No. Sol stared at him. Darren stared at him. The council went silent. Varys continued. You concealed a prison beneath a civilian academy. His voice remained calm. You concealed a breach risk from your own inspectors. He pointed toward the door. And now you want the only person who stopped the breach arrested. Students began whispering. The central mask spoke. You are relieved of authority. Varys looked at the badge on the floor. Already handled. Mira laughed once. Very quietly. The council projection vanished. For several seconds, nobody moved. Then the entire observation hall exploded with noise. Varys had just broken with the Capitol in front of hundreds of witnesses. Darren looked at me. You understand what happens now? Yes. What? The council sends someone worse. He nodded. Correct. That evening, the academy gates remained closed. Nobody celebrated, but people still needed food. The kitchen opened. Mira and I sat at a corner table. Ren joined us. Varys came later. Darren arrived last. That was strange. Yesterday, most of these people had been on different sides. Now the table held one former institutional enemy, one disgraced dean, one seal master, one thief, one key user, and one inspector without a badge. The cook served roasted chicken with crisp skin, garlic potatoes, hot bread, a thick vegetable soup. Someone brought apple pie. Nobody knew who. Mira claimed that made it more valuable. We ate quietly at first. Then Ren complained that I had ruined his favorite theory of barrier architecture. Mira told him to write a better theory. Varys discovered apple pie. Darren asked for a second piece and looked embarrassed. For 20 minutes, we were just tired people eating warm food. Then Mira leaned close to me. You scared me today. I know. You nearly opened more locks. I thought about it. Do not become one of those heroes who thinks nearly dying is a strategy. It isn't. What is? I looked at Key. Profit with acceptable risk. She smiled. Terrible. Effective. She reached under the table and took my hand. It was the first time she had done that. No joke, no audience, just warm fingers. I did not pull away. Then the academy alarm rang. Every person at the table stood. A projection appeared above the dining hall. The underground door, the 3rd lock had begun to open by itself. Then the 4th. Then the 5th. Not from my side, from inside. The system spoke. Mass breach sequence detected. Estimated time until 999 locks fail. I waited. The answer came. 30 days. The dining hall became silent. Then another message appeared inside my mind. Recommended unlock power for final gate control. The number followed. 100,000. My current power was 1,632. I looked at the 30-day countdown, then at key, then at the academy full of locks. I smiled. Mira saw it. Oh no. I stood. We need every locked door in the city.